We were talking earlier about some of the like the boxing matches and other things you do as a promoter, and one of my favorite things of all time that y'all ever had, your pre-race shows at Charlotte Motor Speedway are legendary. I don't think that there's anything that rivals them today. There's not been anything since.
Thank you.
Well, they were just incredibly entertaining, almost, and if not at times for me as a kid, as big as the race.
Yep.
And, I think that that's key to remember. A 6 to 12, 15-year-old kid looking forward to the pre-race as much as he is actual event was a pretty big deal. You had Jimmy the Flying Greek.
Yep.
I ain't never seen anything as cool as a guy driving a school bus over a ramp and landing in a pile of cars nose first. And he would stand that school bus up on end, and it'd almost sit there for about 15 seconds till it finally fell over. And I thought that was the most incredible thing that I'd ever seen.
Well, kids loved it.
Yeah, it was in the 80s, so I was anywhere from 8 to 12 years old when all this was going down. And man, when if Jimmy was there, I was not going to miss that part. I was going to miss a few laps in the race. I was going to miss a few other things in the pre-race, but no damn way I was going to miss Jimmy the Flying Greek when he jumped the bus. So, tell me about Jimmy or some of the experiences you had with some of the pre-race stuff. You blew up a lot of things on the front straightaway.
I love to blow stuff up.
Y'all blew up so many big explosions.
Yeah.
You had a lot of reenactments, military reenactments.
Yeah. Well, I think the best one was one that no one knew was coming. Uh-huh. Bill French Jr. didn't know it. Bruton didn't know it.
Wow.
Nobody knew it except Harvey Walters and myself and my brother. And that was the first invasion of Grenada. Well, the Grenadian War was not exactly epic, but at the same time, I was down at Fort Jackson. I was talking to the general, and I said, you have to have so many maneuvers a year. Pentagon demands, right? Yeah. And I said, well, why don't you just have one at Charlotte? And you're doing it in front of a whole bunch of people rather than nobody. Out in the ponds outside of Fayetteville.
Yeah.
Well, he thought that was a heck of an idea.
So this is an actual not an actual practice for the military to do this.
It was a maneuver.
Just do it in front of an audience.
Yeah, a whole bunch of
people.
people.
It a maneuver, Mike.
Yeah,
it's a maneuver.
It's a maneuver. And so he said, well, what you got in mind? I said, well, let's do the Grenada. I studied it, And it was an invasion by a bunch of helicopters, Chinook helicopters with troops on them that rappelled down to the infield, and then Apache helicopters, which is just a flying machine gun, escorting them in. So I said, you guys, that particular day, because we didn't have an airport at Concord. I said, take off from Salisbury and come around and come in from the back side of the speedway, the main grandstand. In other words, come in from the west.
Right.
Nobody knows you're there until you get there.
This is amazing.
And so right before we did it, I did call the Highway Patrol. I called a captain over there who ended up working for your dad.
Captain Malcolm.
That's right, Captain Malcolm. I said, Captain, you'll see a bunch of crazy stuff going on, so don't get alarmed if the phone starts ringing. And so
we're not being invaded.
And so I pulled a couple of houses out of there and put them on the main stretch real quick, which nobody paid any attention to,
What now?
Pulled a couple of houses we'd built. Yeah.
Yeah,
I want something to blow up.
Yeah, some props, okay.
Yeah. And so Hal Needham,
Stuntman Hal Needham.
He's the one that got me in contact with this guy in Hollywood that built that stuff. So I just got enough from him to know how to do it, and we built our own. So anyway, now Patty Wheeler, my daughter, who is was an absolutely fantastic TV producer. She did know about it too, because she got the whole thing on tape. Mm-hmm. And here they come, and Bill Gazaway was running the garage area then, and you know how tough he was. Well, he's over in the control tower, and I'm in the Speedway control tower next to it. But I had gone upstairs so I could help everybody. Oh. Yeah. And here they came.
Help everybody.
Here they came. Chunga, 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 you know. And then people in the grandstand are sitting there like, you know. And all of a sudden, here comes the first Chinook. And everybody looking and it's like, well, okay, they got a helicopter here. Then 12 more of them show up with those Apache choppers firing blanks out of it. and I got a call real quick and say, we're worried about the VIP suite glasses busting. I said, don't worry about it. We've already done this at night. So nothing.
You already had a practice?
We already had a practice. We don't want anybody to know about it, you know. So, you know, they came in there and they dropped it down. And then we blew up those 2 houses there, which was great. And, of course, you know, we shot a mortar at them, but they were blank. And then the guy, the dynamite man, had a little button, and he popped it, and they went up. So it was fantastic. Well, the NASCAR people went absolutely bahorfish. And, man, what are you doing? You gonna hit a car? And all. I said, no, I'm going to hit a car. And I said, if they hit one, get a backup up. You know? And so Gasaway went totally crazy. And finally, Billy France said to Gasaway, said, why don't you go down to the press box and have lunch? Because this is going to go on for a while.
Oh, man.
And so it worked out great. But Monday, I get a call. This guy, and I know the guy, he lives over there on right down below where Robert G's place was. He says, you killed my horse.
Oh.
I killed your horse? Yeah. And it was a Paso Fino. I thought, oh my God.
What is that?
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but it sounded expensive.
Paso Fino.
And so the guy was out riding his horse, and the bomb went off, and the horse stumbled and broke his leg, and they had to shoot him.
Oh, no.
So I knew Dick Hutcherson raised Paso Finos. I did know that. So I called Dick and I said, how much one of those Paso Finos cost? And don't give me the retail price.
The wholesale price.
I got one over here. I'll sell you for $1,500. I said, can you ride it? Of course you can ride it. I said, well, bring it over right now and I'll pay you cash for it. So I brought it over and I took it over to the guy, and he was overwhelmed.
Oh, really?
And I just don't do it again Sunday morning, you know. I don't want to do that. But, you know, that led to the school bus. Something about the school bus that was neat is we tried it at Bristol first.
Right. It's on YouTube. In 1978 or so, 77, I think, maybe, y'all jumped it down the front straightaway at Bristol.
Yeah, well...
tore the track up.
Oh, it tore it all to hell, and it was, you know, it was too short, and the right front hit the bank part, knocked a hole in it. Bill Gasaway's there again.
Yeah.
And he's screaming. He knows that I did it. And I kept telling Lanny Hester, the guy that was running Bristol at the time, that it'd be fine, no problems, you know, yak, yak, yak. Well, as soon as we got that big hole in the track, I decided I needed to go back to Charlotte. And I did. And I wasn't around for the finale, but we needed to do it somewhere else first.
Bristol was the test track.
It was the test track.
For all of the explosives.
So if you watch it on YouTube, this just bus comes, you know, down the front straightaway. The ramp is at the end of pit wall entering turn 1. When he hits the ramp, things kind of start going bad. And he's going to, he's going to jump the ramp and maybe land on another ramp. He ends up kind of missing or landing a little short, and it sheared the whole front axle off the front of the bus. So the bus goes down the landing ramp, up the racetrack on the frame.
Right.
And just tears the racetrack all to pieces.
Sparks everywhere.
Yeah. It was so freaking awesome, though. I mean, they had it, they got it all on video. Cale Yarborough's there sort of helping broadcast and MC the sort of the spectacle in pre-race. They got the race cars on the backstretch pits out of harm's way. This is all happening before the race went down at Bristol.
Yeah, how long did it delay it?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean,
it was bad. Yeah. I mean, the race did not start on time.
Right.
And I know one thing. I was in Linville, North Carolina, when the race started.
Right.
And I was taking off up through there, and the North Carolina Highway Patrol had a driver's license check about 15 miles outside of Linville. And I stopped, and I knew the trooper. I said, well, what are you doing, man? Race night. Oh, we wouldn't do it after the traffic came off. We're just really doing it to check DUIs, you know. And I said, let me stay here just a minute. I need to calm down. Hey, what happened? So I had to tell him. He wanted to know the whole story, you know.
Yeah.
And so I told him. But it was quite a night, and brought Jimmy back to
Jimmy the Flying Greek.
Jimmy the Flying Greek. Well, his name was Jimmy Kufus.
Kind of ruins it for you, doesn't it?
It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. And I said, nah, your new name is Jimmy the Flying Greek.
Oh,
You gave him that?
Oh, yeah, I gave it to him. Yeah.
my
of course
gosh.
he did. Jimmy the Flying Greek.
Was that his first jump in a school bus at Bristol?
It was the first time anyone had done it.
No, but
anywhere.
I know. Wait. But Jimmy Kufus had done it before somewhere, right?
No, he had not done it.
That was his.
That was
How do
his
you
first time.
Where did you find him then?
I got sitting in my office one day, and I got a oil painting of it was fantastic, of this bus way up in the air, and sparks were everywhere, and it was jumping a football field. And
But it was a painting, to be sure.
It was a painting. And he wrote me a little note. He says, I want to do this, and I want to come see you and talk to you about that. And actually what he did for a living, he drove a bus. He drove a bus from Las Vegas to L.A. and then L.A. back to Las Vegas 5 days a week. That was his.
Oh, wow.
That's what he did for a living.
He wasn't even a stunt man of any kind.
No, not at all.
God,
But he thought he was.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how tough it was after he did the last one, and he actually got hurt on the last one.
Oh.
Because what was happening, he was jumping further, because we had to. I got to Bud Moore's Ford racing engines and stuck them in the bus, and that's how we got it.
Oh my gosh!
That's how it got going.
Faster and faster.
And I was afraid to put J-2 rockets in there. That's what Kufus wanted to do. But if you put two of them in there and one goes the wrong way, you no telling where that bus is going to go, you know. And so,
it's good to know that you have even a crazy standard that you will not go to.
God,
you
it
will
was
rate
so
it back.
awesome. That thing would, on the front straightaway at Charlotte, he'd come off turn 4, and they'd have the ramp head toward into the grass, and they'd have a pile of old junk cars for him to just land in. And they would stack the cars every race. The cars would be stacked differently, kind of like for him just to knock down or knock over, and it seemed like a relatively soft landing for the most part. And he wasn't sitting in the typical driver's seat area of a bus. He would basically be seated or positioned about row 3, in the center of the bus, surrounded in roll bars and thick padding, electrical tape around these roll bars, and he's in the middle of that thing. So he
gave his bus a crash threshold that he wasn't going to be a part of.
Absolutely. And
then there was Robosaurus.
Oh man! That thing's still around today.
It is.
That thing's been for sale, traded hands. I think it was actually went to Pawn Stars. It was on Pawn Stars episode one time. Somebody trying to sell that thing.
Yeah.
Robosaurus. Ooh. How did that get?
Well, we're looking for something to do to bring kids into the Saturday race.
Yeah.
And this is why people got to pay attention to everybody that works for them. Harriet Carter, who was the secretary then, she came into my office. I said, anybody got a good idea? I don't care what it is, come to my office. I want to see it. And so people would come in. Like once one guy came in, he says, I know what we need to do. I said, what? He says, we need to raise Kobe beef in the in the infield. Well, you never want to tell anybody's got a bad idea, okay? Because the next one may be great. Well, a week went by, and he came by, and again he'd come to my office. He said, I'm sure glad I don't see any of those Kobe beef cattle down in the infield now, so I take it you're going to wait a while. Well, that's true. He said, I got a better idea. I said, what is it? He says, let's raise jerk chickens in the infield. I said, well, I didn't know what a jerk chicken was. I thought it was a species of chicken. Yeah, and he did too.
Yeah, of course.
And he says, well, I said, but, chickens can fly if they're frightened enough. And what are we going to do if they get out in the track and, Earnhardt's down in the track and he's going down the stretch and his big chicken hits him in the windshield? Well, I hadn't thought of that. We could clip their wings. And he says, what we can do is right 2 weeks before the race, we'll chop their heads off and have a jerk chicken sandwich.
This guy
and the concession
really,
said, he's just, totally serious heart attack. So, things like that. But this lady comes in, Harriet, and she says, she's carrying the National Enquirer. And I said, well, what you got there, Harriet? She says, well, I didn't bring your favorite newspaper, the Globe, because they'd had a deal in there, two 600s before that, where they said they had a picture of Bat Boy on the cover.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
It says, Bat Boy accused of assaulting a girl in the parking lot of the Charlotte Motor Speedway after the 600. So I called the publisher. Man, you're crazy. I said, you're just taking a step too further. I said, this is going to hurt our business. It's terrible. Well, I wasn't getting anywhere for him because there's not much I could do. You can sue those people. You never get to court.
They're ready for that.
I really put the heat on him, though. And so about 2 weeks later, he called me back. He said, I got me a solution for that Bat Boy. Because this Bat Boy was born in Kentucky in a cave and raised by bats. And he said, what if the Bat Boy gets killed? I said, well, that's a start. So the Bat Boy got killed. He went to somebody else's racetrack and somebody shot him.
And as the story goes.
We got that. But anyway, we got Robosaurus. And she pulls the center section of National Enquirer out. And it's Robosaurus. And as soon as I see it, that is it.
You got to have it.
I got to have it. I said, well, find out where that thing is and let me know. She says, I've already done that. She says, it's in a warehouse in Pomona, California. And the man's willing to do something. It's been in that warehouse for 4 years. They made it for a show, a pilot on TV. And it never got anywhere, so he put it away. So I called him. And I said, I'd like to have that Robosaurus. And he says, well, you can, but it's going to cost you. Well, I knew that was coming. That's what they always say. And so anyway, we finally got down to a deal where I paid him $25,000 to bring it.
Whoa. Wow.
Well, it was a lot of money, and it was a gamble, but, he got there. And so I decided, and this is another stupid thing I did, I put it out in front of the start-finish line.
Yeah.
I mean, the in front of the speedway by Highway 29.
Oh, okay.
Just set it out there.
Yeah. Well, Malcolm calls me, and he says, Humpy, you got to do something about that monster you got out there. He says, traffic's backed up to Charlotte. Well, I didn't want to offend him, and I knew it was a problem, so I moved it. And everybody's screaming they want to see it. Well, that's what I wanted to hear because it was and we had these great commercials, Saturday, every morning Saturday morning cartoons and all that stuff. We're playing this Robosaurus deal. Well, I said, okay, we're going to have a press conference. Well, the press hates this stuff. You know, they want to read about racers and stuff like that. They don't want to read about Humpyisms, you know.
Right.
And so I got Robosaurus down there. And he eats cars, you see. He picks cars up hydraulically, and he puts them in those stainless steel teeth and starts chomping on them. And it's great. So I go to see your dad, and I said, I hope you're over here to ask me if I want to run that Robosaurus, because, you know, somebody's got to run it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I get him out there, and the guy shows him how to do it. And it's, you know, if you can run a bulldozer, which your dad certainly could, he can run a Robosaurus. So we have a couple Japanese cars out there, and he picks one up and eats it. And it's great because, you know, it dribbles. The fan belt and the wheels come off and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
It's like it's falling out of its mouth. Like
yeah. And then I tell you, I did ask the guy to do something, and we rigged this up in Charlotte. And that's like shoot fire out its mouth. Had to do that. And he got it where he shoot about 60 feet, which, you know, home plate.
Set the cars on fire and then chew them up.
Yeah, that's right. So we had a press conference. And the press is there. Oh, God, you know.
What's he doing now?
What's going on, you know. So he eats 6 cars. And they're taking pictures of it and all like that. And I said, now, ladies and gentlemen, you want to know who's operating this? Would the operator please come out? It's none other than Dale Earnhardt. And they went crazy. Then all of a sudden, every news station in the 2 Carolinas, Tennessee, Virginia, etc., led off with that thing eating those cars. And it was really neat. But the night before, we were practicing. And your dad was, you know, learning how to operate. Well, we had about 6 junk cars, and he had eaten all of them up. And he says, we need some more cars. I said, we don't have any more. He says, the parking lot's full of them.
God almighty.
We sold 14,000 more tickets.
With Robosaurus?
With Robosaurus than we'd ever sold on Saturday before.